Last week, I attended the 2025 Sim Racing Expo in Dortmund, Germany. I had the chance to test some of the latest products in sim racing and try out the latest sims, like Project Motor Racing and Assetto Corsa Rally. The event was massive, and there was simply too much to cover in one visit. So in this video, I'll share my impressions and give you a closer look at everything I managed to get my hands on. The day began with Asetek, where the CEO introduced their lineup, featuring new quick release adapter, new shifter, and the handbrake.
Today these adapters are 159 euros. This one will come out in a very short period of time, within the next month, and then it'll be less than half price. So for 70 something, you can actually buy this now and put your own wheel on any on our wheelbases and have this great quick release system.
Yeah, so this is all kind of plastic, or is
this part is aluminum, and this part is a composite, just like we have on the Initium. You can see they look a lot like our wheelbases. You have T-slots on three sides. You have the LED here, which is not just for the fun of it, and if you don't like LED, you can turn it off, of course. But so here you can have the optimal shift, like going up here, so you know when to actually
when to shift it.
Yes. Right now it's H pattern. Then you lift and do like this and press a button, and now it's a
sequential.
Yeah. And these covers, of course, are plastic, but this is aluminum and steel, all of it.
It's going to serve you for a very, very long time.
Same design, but that's a load cell handbrake. That's the same here. You can set the brake intensity and things like that. So that's coming next year. I don't know exactly when.
And after that, it was time to test their Initium rig. The wheelbase delivers 5.5 Newton meters of torque, and the brakes use a Hall sensor. And the complete bundle is priced at $599 US. Of course, this may vary depending on your region. And then I tested their setup in Project Motor Racing, and the overall feel was surprisingly good. I did not expect the torque to be that strong, but at times it felt like it was actually delivering more than 5 Newton meters. Honestly, I think this is all you really need. I even tried the shifter, just to see how it performs, even though you would never normally do it in a GT car. So I do have to say that the shifting experience was quite smooth and satisfying. So all in all, the products performed exactly as expected. And I should mention that the pedals were upgraded, since the original setup only includes 2 pedals. But overall, it was quite nice and enjoyable experience. Next up, I tried the new sim racing title, Project Motor Racing. I only had just about 30 minutes with it, but I have to say that the experience was actually quite interesting. I did not know much the title beforehand, but it actually feels like it's going to be quite a complex and detailed sim. The first thing that I did was actually drive in the rain, which turned out to be surprisingly difficult. The car was sliding everywhere, and you just had to be extremely gentle with the accelerator to keep the car under control. I had some assist turned on, but the tires just couldn't warm up. They stayed cool for most of the session, which made grip levels quite unpredictable. There are a lot of setup options to choose from, and I can already tell you that the car setup will play a major role in how this game feels. I tried the same sim on Asetek's booth, and the handling there felt completely different. So I'm sure that the setup had a big influence there. Then I switched to the AMG just to see how it handled. I tried to initiate a slide, but the car was actually surprisingly stable. It's not impossible to lose control, but you really have to go for it. I mean, most of the time you have to be smooth on the accelerator if you want to get the proper way out of the corner. Otherwise, it might actually slide and you might lose a bit of time on the way out. And I do have to say, especially in the rain, just keep an eye on how you manage your accelerator. And of course, I guess this will depend on each car and its setup, but driving in the wet overall was quite a challenge. And after that, I jumped into single player mode, which felt like a completely different experience. The AI drivers were pretty inconsistent, I have to say. Sometimes they were unbelievably quick out of the corners, and on other times they showed, well, they kind of stopped in the middle of the corners, to be fair. It made their behavior completely random at times. And there was even a moment when the entire AI field suddenly stopped in the middle of the corner, causing a huge crash. I tried it a few times, and the same thing happened over and over again. So I think this area needs a bit of improvement. Despite that, it was actually quite impressive to see how the game actually developed and how complex it actually is. So I do have to mention this, that some of the tracks aren't officially licensed. So circuits like Silverstone and Donington have slightly different names. But honestly, that really doesn't bother me. Licensing aside, I think Project Motor Racing will eventually turned out to be quite a solid title. Next, I checked out the latest Fanatec product introductions. They unveiled their new Podium lineup, which includes the new Podium wheelbase and the fresh set of pedals. There are some interesting details here. The new Podium wheelbase delivers up to 25 Nm of torque, while the pedals feature a 200 kg load cell pedal, calibrated to 150 kilograms. The wheelbase is compatible with PC and Xbox, but only if you have an Xbox compatible wheel. The pedals, on the other hand, will work with all Fanatec's wheelbases. Pricing hasn't been revealed yet, but Fanatec plans to announce it later this year. The pedals will come in two versions, the free pedal setup and the two-pedal formula package. Fanatec mentioned that these pedals were developed completely from the ground up. I had the chance to test the full setup on iRacing, which I think is a perfect way to experience the new hardware. The wheelbase felt incredibly strong, with instant feedback and excellent detailing through the wheel. Exactly what you would expect from a flagship Fanatec product. To be fair, I think the difference between this model and the existing DD Plus base, which already delivers 15 Nm, might not be that huge. Still, for someone that just wants more power and precision, this may be a solid option. Now, about the pedals. They not only look great, but also offer a wide range of adjustment options. You can change angles, resistance, and even adjust the clutch bind point mechanically, which is a nice touch. What really impressed me is that all of these adjustments can be made without tools and on the fly. So I tested a setup with a completely stiff brake and pedal, then switched to a much softer feel in just a couple of seconds by twisting the cylinder. Overall, the system feels well designed. And I do have to say, it's pretty performance-oriented. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how the pricing is going to look once it's officially announced. But so far, it seems like Fanatec has really created another impressive high-end product. And this next part really surprised me. I was invited to a creators race on Rennsport, a title I haven't really played in over a year. What really caught me off guard was how much the game actually developed since then, especially in terms of how the cars feel. It took me only a few laps before I completely felt in control of the car, which was quite unexpected. The cars felt smooth, responsive, and quite natural to drive. I do have to mention that I spun in my qualifying for the first race, so unfortunately I started from the back of the grid, but almost immediately I started making some ground. There were some quite nice moves, and I think this just shows how easy it is to get used to this. Maybe I'm not just going to say that it was about the setup and everything, but the cars felt really natural, and it was quite an enjoyable experience. Just the full control of the car felt incredibly smooth, as I said before. I started making some moves. I got that first place after quite a clean pass, I have to say. I took the lead, I kept it, and I won my first race. And then for the next race, I qualified on pole position with a 269 around Spa-Francorchamps. Unfortunately, I had a terrible start. Lost the position, and after that, it was even worse. I got hit, which was definitely not ideal. I got at the back of the grid, which is never great. Still, I managed to fight back to second place. And I mean, I got that second place almost immediately and actually started closing on in the leader. And in the final lap, the leader made a mistake. And again, I took a win. But I think the main takeaway here is just how impressive Rennsport has become. I wasn't really expecting this level of improvement or refinement. The handling felt precise, the feedback was pretty convincing, and the overall driving experience was quite enjoyable, I have to say. But to be fair, I think I would need more than 30 minutes of seat time to just give you my full impression. But based on this, or actually these two sessions, I was pleasantly surprised. After that, I had the chance to check out Max Verstappen's wheel and even jump into a GT4 car. But before that, Ascher Racing presented their latest product.
This is what we're looking at. So this is our new Track Time Series 1 rig. So it's an aluminum frame here, so you could basically attach everything you want to it. It's quite modular. At the same time, we have the steel frame in the middle. So if you see it over there, there's cable management integrated on the rear.
So inside you can also manage the cables and everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see, yeah.
And we attach a magnetic foil on the other side, so you don't see it anymore. Artura Ultimate, this scenario, it's your Ultimate, so it's the one you could customize with the logo. Fun story about this wheel, Max Verstappen actually owns 4 of these by now.
4 of these?
Yeah, it's like one at his home, one at his motorhome, one
Really?
somewhere at Red Bull.
So Max Verstappen races on one of those.
He does. Our latest product, we also just released it on Friday. This is now on pre-sale. Shipping the week before Christmas, so early Christmas gift.
For someone it can be.
So this is a 7.85 inch screen, which is rounded it up to 8 inch because 8 inch sounds better than 7.85, right?
And after that, they showed me their wheel, the same one used in real racing. And honestly, there is almost no difference between the two. I even got the chance to sit in a GT4 car, which quickly made me realize how tight these cockpits actually are. I could barely fit inside. So overall, I do have to say that their products are truly premium, and they actually feel like it. Afterwards, I jumped into the race room and tested their sim setup, which was probably the best one that I've tried. It even featured active pedals, and the overall experience was quite incredible. The wheel, the pedals, the rig, everything came together just perfectly to create this amazing sim. And of course, that level of quality comes at a price. So if you're ever want to add all of that up, I think it's going to be more than 10,000 euros. But then it was time for Subbelt. They showed me their latest products, and one of them really caught my attention. It was something that I honestly haven't seen before. A foam kit that molds around your body to create a fully custom seat.
This is the exact same product, just with different sizing to fit perfectly the sim racing market. Okay. You can fill 2 bags inside with 2 components. You will pop one of the 2, start mixing. You will feel it activated, it will grow, and then it will explode in the bigger bag. Okay. You have to remove very careful and very well the component, and then you spread it. Okay. Then you go to, I don't know, like here. You sit on it, racing position, 15 minutes. And that's the result. For this one is 199, VAT included. The fact is that these are your pressure points, so it cannot get better than this.
And after checking that pretty fascinating custom seat kit, it was time for something I haven't planned on seeing. The new Assetto Corsa Rally. From my short time with it, I just have to say that it felt incredibly challenging, but in a good way. It wasn't difficult because it was unpredictable or unnatural. It was difficult because it actually felt real. The car behaved in such a natural and responsive way that it gave me a real sense of control. The driving felt smooth and quite intuitive. And honestly, it might be one of the best rally sims that I've ever tried. Of course, I still need more time to get better at it, but as the session went on, I started to kind of understand how the cars reacted and what was really needed to be quick. You can really tell that the developers spent a lot of time and even a couple of years developing it. The graphics are not perfect. They could get a little bit better. But when you're behind the wheel, this is what truly matters. The handling and the feedback are truly a standout, I'm not going to even say feature. They are really, really good. You have to initiate slides carefully, just as you would in real life. Braking too much can really upset the car, so you don't need to brake much because it just usually ends in a slide. And I did make a few mistakes, no doubt, but overall it was a genuinely impressive experience and felt like a proper rally setup. And overall, my last stop of the day was SimLab, where I got the chance to test their latest wheelbase. It's still in development, but most of the design and functionalities are already there.
And it's also running on 350 volts, so it's very, very powerful, really responsive.
Really powerful. And how many Newton meters was that?
So this is 26.
26.
Right now this is our prototype, but it's 90% finished. Fine-tuning the last little details, and then we can finally proceed with the launch.
Overall, I have to say that the wheelbase felt incredibly powerful, and as mentioned before, it's still a prototype that needs some refinement. And I could feel that in the first few degrees of rotation where the feedback wasn't really strong. Later, they explained that this is one of the areas they are still working on, which does make sense. since the product isn't fully finalized yet. Once the wheel was loaded in the corners though, the feedback was surprisingly detailed and smooth, and what really stood out for me were the pedals. SimLab now has their own complete ecosystem, and the pedals felt actually exceptionally refined. They can deliver up to 100 kilograms of braking pressure, and despite spending only a short time with them, I adapted quickly. The feel was consistent, responsive, and overall it was quite natural. But the setup is quite on the expensive side, but it's clearly built to deliver top-tier performance. The products are expected to launch in Q1 2026 with 2 models available, the DDX26 producing 26 Nm of torque and the DDX39 producing 39 Nm of torque. Both wheelbases will include an integrated power supply and a new quick-release system. Pricing is set at €1,499 for the DDX26 and €2,000 for the DDX39. Overall, the equipment performs exceptionally well and delivers that premium feel you would expect from a high-end setup like this one. And I think this just sums it up. I couldn't cover everything since this was the biggest Sim Racing Expo yet, but it was an incredible experience overall. And if you have any questions, please let me know down below. Thank you for watching.